Have you ever wondered who shattered the glass ceiling in the world of aviation, particularly for women of color? Today, we're diving into the story of an extraordinary woman who did just that. Meet Bessie Coleman, a pioneer who took to the skies in an era when doing so was nearly unthinkable for a woman, let alone a woman of color. Born in the late 19th century, Bessie hailed from a time when the world was just starting to take flight. The early 20th century was a time of immense change, yet it was also fraught with barriers and challenges, particularly for those who dared to dream beyond the confines of societal norms. Despite these obstacles, Bessie Coleman soared. She became the first African American and Native American woman to hold a pilot license, rewriting the rules of the sky. Bessie Coleman, a woman of humble beginnings, dared to dream and soared high above the clouds. Bessie Coleman's journey to the sky had humble beginnings on the ground in Texas. Born in the year of 1892, Bessie was the 10th of 13 children in a family of sharecroppers, a profession that required back-breaking labor for meager returns. Bessie's early life was characterized by the dual hardships of poverty and racial segregation, twin shadows that loomed over the landscape of her childhood. Her education began at a small one-room schoolhouse a full 4 miles from her home. Despite the distance and the school's limited resources, Bessie proved herself to be a bright and eager student. She excelled in reading and mathematics, subjects that would later serve her well in her aviation pursuits. But even the sanctuary of the classroom wasn't safe from the insidious grip of racial segregation. The school was strictly divided along racial lines, a harsh reality that Bessie faced head-on. In her late teens, Bessie made a decision that would change the course of her life. She moved to Chicago to live with her brothers, seeking better opportunities than the cotton fields of Texas could offer. The Windy City, with its bustling streets and booming industries, was a stark contrast to the rural world she had known. Here, she began to dream of a life in the sky, a dream as vast and boundless as the Texas plains she had left behind. Yet, Chicago was not the promised land she had hoped it would be. It was a place of struggle and hardship, of long hours spent working as a manicurist to make ends meet. But it was also a place of hope and possibility. It was in Chicago that Bessie first heard tales of World War I pilots, stories that stirred within her a deep-seated desire to fly. Despite the adversities, Bessie Coleman was determined to rise above her circumstances. Her spirit, as untamed as the winds she would one day conquer, refused to be grounded. Her early years laid the foundation for the extraordinary journey that lay ahead. They were a testament to her resilience and her unyielding determination to reach for the stars, no matter how out of reach they may have seemed. The spark that ignited Bessie Coleman's passion for aviation was a spark lit by stories of World War I pilots. Bessie Coleman, a woman of African and Native American descent, found herself captivated by the courage and freedom that these pilots embodied. But this was more than just a fascination. It was a dream that would change the course of her life. In the early 20th century, the United States was a place of rigid social boundaries. The color of your skin and your gender could limit your opportunities and shatter your dreams. For Bessie, her dream of taking to the skies was met with a harsh reality. Aviation schools in the United States refused to admit her because she was a woman, and a black woman at that. But Bessie Coleman was not a woman to accept defeat. With an iron will and a fiery spirit, Bessie decided to chart her own course. She began to learn French, a language that would serve as her passport to a world where her dreams could take flight. France was known for its more liberal attitudes towards race and gender, and it was home to many prestigious aviation schools. Bessie saw this as her chance to break free from the chains of discrimination and prejudice that held her back in the United States. So, in November of 1920, Bessie boarded a ship and set sail for France. She was leaving behind the familiar for the unknown, but she was also leaving behind the limitations and restrictions that had held her back. She was stepping into a new world, a world where she could pursue her dream of flying without fear of being judged by the color of her skin or her gender. In France, Bessie was finally able to realize her dream. She enrolled in a renowned aviation school and began to learn the art of flying. She faced many challenges, but she met each one with determination and courage. She was a woman on a mission, a woman with a dream, and she would not be stopped. Bessie Coleman was not a woman to be deterred. She chased her dreams across the Atlantic. In France, Bessie Coleman didn't just learn to fly, she soared. Her journey to the heavens began at the Coleman Brothers School of Aviation, a renowned institution nestled in the heart of France. Here, she was not just a student, but a trailblazer, breaking barriers with every beat of her heart and every gust of wind beneath her wings. The Coleman Brothers School was a place where dreams took flight. It was there that Bessie poured her heart and soul into mastering the art of aviation. She absorbed everything, from the intricacies of flight mechanics to the delicate dance of takeoff and landing. She was not just learning to operate a machine, she was learning to dance with the wind, to command the skies, to be free. Her dedication and determination were unparalleled. Day after day she climbed into the cockpit, her hands steady on the controls, her eyes fixed on the horizon. She was relentless, challenging herself to push beyond her limits, to reach heights that others could only dream of. As she navigated through the clouds, she was not just a pilot, she was a symbol of hope and resilience, a beacon of change in a world that needed it desperately. In 1921, Bessie Coleman etched her name in the annals of history. She received her international pilot's license from the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale, a prestigious global aviation authority. With this, she shattered yet another glass ceiling, becoming the first African-American woman to achieve such a feat. It was a milestone not just for her, but for countless others who saw in her a reflection of their dreams and aspirations. Bessie Coleman's journey above the clouds was more than just an adventure. It was a statement, a declaration of her unwavering spirit and indomitable will. She had proven that the sky was not the limit. It was just the beginning. With her pilot's license in hand, Bessie Coleman was ready to take on the skies. Returning to America, Bessie Coleman quickly became a sensation. Her return to the United States was met with enthusiasm and curiosity. The Roaring Twenties were a time of change and innovation, and aviation was at the forefront of this wave. Bessie, however, faced a unique set of challenges. As an African-American woman, she had to navigate the dual prejudices of racism and sexism to make a living as a pilot. But Bessie was nothing if not determined. She knew that flying was not just a hobby for her, it was her passion, her calling. So she leaned into her skills and her charm, and she began a career as a stunt pilot. Her daring aerial maneuvers and fearless stunts quickly caught people's attention. They marveled at her skill, her courage, her audacity. She was a woman, she was black, and she was soaring above the clouds. It was an image that challenged the norms and expectations of the day. With each performance, Bessie's popularity grew. She was a spectacle, a marvel, a symbol of possibility. She was a woman who had defied the odds and dared to dream. And in doing so, she had become an inspiration to others. People began to call her Queen Bess, a nickname that spoke to her regal presence in the sky and her command of the aircraft. But Bessie was more than just a stunt pilot. She was a performer, yes, but she was also a trailblazer, a pioneer. She was breaking barriers and defying expectations. She was showing the world what a black woman could do. And she was doing it with grace, with courage, with determination. Bessie Coleman was not just a pilot, she was a performer, a trailblazer, and a beacon of hope. She was Queen Bess, the first African-American woman to hold a pilot's license, a woman who dared to fly, to dream, to inspire. And in doing so, she left an indelible mark on the world of aviation and the world at large. Like many pioneers, Bessie Coleman's journey was cut tragically short. The year was 1926, and at the tender age of 34, Bessie's life was extinguished in an unfortunate plane crash. She was in Jacksonville, Florida, preparing for an air show. Her mechanic and publicity agent, William Wills, was piloting the plane during a routine check while Bessie was in the passenger seat, scouting the area for her upcoming performance. Without warning, the plane went into a tailspin and nosedived. Bessie, not strapped in because she needed to look over the cockpit's edge, was thrown out and fell to her death, while Wills crashed with the plane and perished. The initial investigation suggested a wrench used for maintenance jammed the controls, causing the tragic accident. The news of her death sent shockwaves through the aviation industry and the African-American community. She was a beacon of hope, a symbol of possibility against all odds. A woman of color, She had dared to break barriers in an era of segregation and discrimination. The impact of her untimely demise was profound. Thousands attended her funeral in Chicago, her adopted home, and Florida, her place of death. The grief was palpable, but so was the resolve. Her life, though short, served as a catalyst for change. An inspiration for countless young African Americans who aspired to fly, she proved that the sky was truly the limit. Her death, though a tragic loss, was not in vain. It amplified her message, her mission, and her legacy. It reminded everyone that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Bessie's spirit, her audacity, and her unwavering determination became a rallying cry for equality, not just in the skies, but on the ground as well. Bessie Coleman may have left us, but her legacy continues to soar. Her life and her legacy remind us that no dream is too big, no ambition too lofty, and no barrier too high. She continues to inspire, to motivate, and to empower long after her last flight. Bessie Coleman's life was short, but her legacy is everlasting. In the brief span of her life, she shattered the glass ceiling for countless aspiring aviators, particularly women and people of color, who dared to dream of soaring through the skies. Her courage and determination have become an indelible part of the fabric of aviation history. Bessie Coleman's impact on subsequent generations of pilots has been monumental. Her story has inspired women and people of color to take to the skies, challenging the status quo and breaking barriers. She paved the way for future generations, proving that race and gender should never be obstacles to achieving our dreams. Her legacy is seen in the faces of every woman and person of color who has ever taken control of an aircraft. The significance of Bessie's achievements has been recognized far and wide. Posthumously, she has received numerous honors and recognitions. In 1995, the U.S. Postal Service issued a stamp in her honor, making her the 18th honoree in the Black Heritage Series. In the heart of the Windy City, Chicago, there's a street named after her, Bessie Coleman Drive. Furthermore, every year, on the anniversary of her death, Black pilots fly over her grave in Chicago in a spectacular aerial salute. Bessie Coleman's legacy is not just about her extraordinary feats in the sky. It is about her unwavering spirit, her relentless pursuit of a dream, and her refusal to be confined by societal norms. She was a woman who dared to reach for the stars, who believed that the sky was not the limit but the starting point. Bessie Coleman was more than a pilot. She was a dreamer, a trailblazer, and an inspiration to us all. Her legacy continues to inspire, to motivate, and to remind us all that the only limits we have are the ones we place on ourselves. Bessie Coleman's story is a testament to the power of determination and the human spirit. Born in the late 19th century in a world riddled with prejudice and limitations, she dared to dream big. With the audacity of hope and the courage of a lion, Bessie propelled herself from the cotton fields of Texas to the vast blue skies, shattering glass ceilings along her journey. Bessie's early years in the South were marked by hardship and poverty, yet she refused to let her circumstances define her destiny. She sought education, worked arduously, and saved every penny for her dream to fly. Her relentless pursuit led her to France, where she became the first African-American woman to hold a pilot license. In the Roaring Twenties, she soared above the clouds, performing daring aerial stunts and captivating audiences all over the United States. She was not just a pilot, she was a performer, an entertainer, and a symbol of hope for the African-American community. She was christened Queen Bess, a fitting title for a woman of her stature and influence. Yet her story was not just about personal triumph. It was about breaking barriers and challenging the status quo. It was about paving the way for others to follow. Even in the face of adversity, Bessie remained undeterred. She used her fame and influence to advocate for racial equality, refusing to perform where Black audiences were not welcomed. The tragic end of her life in a plane crash did not diminish her legacy. Instead, it amplified it. Bessie Coleman's life serves as an inspiration to all who dare to dream, regardless of their race, gender, or social status. Her story is a beacon of hope, a reminder that with determination and courage, one can overcome any obstacle. Bessie Coleman once said, "The air is the only place free from prejudice." She not only broke barriers, but also inspired countless others to reach for the sky. And so her spirit soars on, reminding us all that the sky is not the limit, but just the beginning.